Big surprises for Social Security recipients this February. Early payments, double deposits, and more financial benefits. Hey everyone, it's Kedar from How to Guys, and I've got some incredible news for Social Security recipients this February. Let me ask you this. What would you do if your bank account got a surprising boost this month? Because that's exactly what might happen. This month, we're talking about early payments, double deposits, and how much money you could be seeing in your account sooner than expected. February 2025 is shaping up to be a game changer for millions of Americans, and trust me, you won't want to miss a single detail. But here's the real kicker: how much extra cash are we actually talking about? Could it be enough to cover your bills, groceries, or even give you a little breathing room? Stick with me and we'll break it all down. From key dates to exactly how much money you can expect to see, I've got you covered. So, buckle up, because we're diving into all the juicy details you've been waiting for. Let's get started. Let's start with the early SSI payment for February 2025. Here's a twist you'll want to note. The SSI payment for February 2025 won't arrive on February 1st as you might expect. Instead, it's coming earlier, on January 31st, 2025. Why? It's all because February 1st falls on a weekend, and Social Security doesn't issue payments on weekends or holidays. Now, think about this. What could you do with an early deposit? It might feel like a small win, but here's the catch. This early payment is technically for February, which means you'll need to budget carefully to stretch it throughout the month. Overspending too soon could leave you scrambling by the end of February, so keep that in mind. Next, if you started receiving Social Security before May 1997, mark your calendar for February 3rd, 2025. This is your payment date. For many of you, this payment might feel like a lifeline, especially after managing post-holiday bills. But here's something to think about. What if your payment arrives earlier than expected, or even a day late? While rare, these shifts can happen, and knowing how to prepare for such surprises can make all the difference. Stick around, because I'll share some tips later in this video on how to handle unexpected delays without breaking a sweat. Next, if your birthday falls between the 1st and the 10th of the month, your payment will arrive on February 12th, 2025. This mid-month payment can be a game changer, especially if you've been juggling rent, utility bills, and grocery expenses. Now, let me ask you this. Do you know the best way to prioritize your payments when funds hit your account? If you're like most people, the temptation to cover everything at once can be strong. But there's a smarter way to allocate your resources, and I'll share some pro tips on this later in the video. Next up, for those of you born between the 11th and the 20th, your Social Security payment will arrive on February 19th, 2025. By this point in the month, some of those larger bills might already be behind you, but unexpected expenses can still pop up. Here's a question to consider. What would you do if an emergency expense came up right before your payment date? Knowing how to handle these situations without dipping into savings, or worse, going into debt, can save you a lot of stress. I'll cover some strategies for this later, so stay tuned. Next, if your birthday falls between the 21st and 30th, your payment will land on February 26th, 2025. This date is critical because it's one of the last payments for the month, giving you a chance to assess where you stand financially. But here's the thing. Do you know how to make your last payment of the month stretch until your next one arrives? This can be a tricky balancing act, but don't worry. I'll share some budgeting hacks later in the video to help you get through the final days of February without any stress. A bonus twist: the early SSI payment for March 2025. Now, let's talk about a pleasant surprise. On February 28, 2025, SSI recipients will receive their early payment for March 2025. Yes, you heard that right. This is the second early payment in just 2 months. Here's the big question. Does this feel like a double payment to you, or does it throw off your budgeting entirely? While it might feel like an extra deposit, it's important to remember that this is your March payment arriving ahead of schedule. That means you'll have to make this deposit last until the next SSI payment comes in April. Alright now, let's take a moment to reflect on this rare scheduling quirk. Between the early January and February SSI payments, and now the March payment arriving early, some of you might feel like you're receiving double payments. But here's the truth. These are not bonuses. They're just a result of how the calendar aligns. Understanding this distinction is key to managing your budget effectively. You might be wondering, why does Social Security adjust its payment schedule like this? The answer lies in how weekends and holidays impact the regular payment cycle. These adjustments are designed to ensure you never have to wait too long for your funds, but they can also create gaps between payments if you're not careful. Let's recap the key dates for February 2025 so you're fully prepared. January 31st, 2025. Early SSI payment for February 2025. February 3rd, 2025. Payment for those who started receiving benefits before May 1997. February 12th, 2025. Payment for birthdays between the 1st and 10th. February 19th, 2025. Payment for birthdays between the 11th and 20th. February 26th, 2025. Payment for birthdays between the 21st and 30th. February 28th, 2025. Early SSI payment for March 2025. With all these dates in mind, now is the perfect time to take control of your finances and plan ahead. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to How to Guys. Let's work together to make 2025 your best financial year yet.